My father was born in Israel and moved to the US at age 25, so I think from a young age I sort of had an interest in international issues and in relationships between people from different countries. My family moved to Rochester recently after my parents got married because my dad got a job at Kodak. I went to high school in Fairport, New York, just outside of Rochester, and I did my undergraduate degree at Colby College in Maine. And I did a Nepali Studies study abroad program through my undergrad degree. I learned Nepali language. I lived with a Nepali family during that time, and after that experience I knew that I really wanted to go back at some point. And I applied for a Fulbright grant to do research in Nepal, and that was what brought me back sort of long term. When I lived in Nepal, I was really, I just received a lot of kindness and generosity from the people that I interacted with. People were really very welcoming with their country, with their homes and their families, teaching me the language, showing me around, cooking for me. I mean, really, I felt very welcomed there. And so when this Nepali population started coming to my hometown, it was really exciting for me to have an opportunity to sort of be on the other side of that a little bit. The Bhutanese refugee migration started in 2008. Many of these families were in camps in Nepal for around 20 years. I was hired by Foodlink, and we sort of got the ball rolling and started at this site 3 summers back with just about 12 families. And this year we have about 40 families involved, so it's grown a lot in the past 2 years. Symbolically, it's an interesting location as well. It's on the site of the old subway bed in Rochester. It's right in the old Kodak neighborhood, and now we're at a point where Kodak is really sort of past its prime, and has a lot of implications for the city of Rochester as well. Cities like Rochester and Syracuse, Utica, all of the Rust Belt cities are experiencing a lot of transition at this time. Ideally, the garden will keep growing in terms of organization and participation, and I think we could get to a point where there could be income generated from food growing at the garden. There was somebody at the garden who was working with me who told me a story about children who were born in the camp. When you ask them where milk comes from, they say from the store, and that they don't understand that it comes from the cow. And he was telling me that to say, that's such a difference from the way we grew up, that this is the knowledge that the children are lacking now. They have such intimate knowledge of how to grow food and how to cultivate plants. Things like that you water the plants at night, and you shouldn't plant plants in the morning because it's too hot during the day. You should wait until nighttime. They understand the soil really well. They understand the difference between black soil and light soil, and that black soil is good for cultivating plants and light soil isn't. Farmers throughout the world are aging. That knowledge that used to be sort of general knowledge that was passed on through families is sort of getting lost in a lot of ways. I think it's really neat that new Americans can come in and can sort of bring that knowledge back to these communities that may have lost it.
अब आलु साग सब्जी खानको लागि हैन अब आफूले आफ्नो हातले बनाएको अब नयाँ सब्जीहरू आफ्नो जिउलाई सन्तुष्ट हुने खाँदाखेरि तागत आउने भनेर चाहिँ अब महत्त्वपूर्ण लाग्छ। अनि अब भुटानमा खेतीपाती गरिरहेको बानी अनि यो रमाइलो रहर पनि लाग्छ हो। खेतीपाती यस्तो गर्नु पाउँदा खेती लाउनु पाउँदा खुसी लाग्छ।
Especially for the older gardeners, the garden site is a really important place. Many of the older Nepalis don't speak English, and there's a pretty low literacy rate among that group as well. So I think for a lot of them, it's sort of difficult to join the community in traditional ways through employment or through school. So I think the garden is a place where they do have skills and knowledge to share. And I think it's especially interesting with a project like this because it's such a physical thing. You're touching the dirt, you're handling the plants, and you really are actually, setting new roots. I think a lot of times when there is any new immigrant group, there's a lot of tension between the original community members and the new community members, and I think that something like this project is a really neat way to try to bring people together a little bit and try to have some sort of reciprocal exchange of knowledge and experience.
यो सारै राम्रो छ। अब उनीहरूले गरिरहेछन्। अब यसपालिको सिजनल खेती हो। यसमा अहिले चाहिँ पोहोर अब 56वटा बाक्सा थियो भने अरु 100 ड्याङ भुइँमा हानेको छ। त्यसले गर्दा यो आगो जम्मै हुन्छ भन्दा आगो चाहिँ धेरै राम्रो आउने भइरहेछन्। अब बिउ पोहोर र परार खाएको फलाएर खाइयो। यसपालि पनि राम्रै हुन्छ भनेर सबैले सोचेको छ राम्रो।
For me as a student, this project, it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. My academic background is pretty varied. I started out studying psychology and now I'm studying environmental science, but I think they're really related in a lot of ways. And I think this project in particular utilizes a natural resource and a community resource for social and psychological benefit. And that is sort of what I'm interested in understanding better. So that's what I'm looking at for my master's thesis, sort of what are those social benefits and psychological benefits of being involved in a project like this, especially for members of the refugee population. This project is part of a broader movement in cities across the country. Many of the students that I studied in Nepal with are doing similar projects in different cities in the US with Bhutanese gardeners and with other refugee groups as well. So this is definitely something that's not just isolated to Rochester. I do think that this work could lead to a really interesting and enriching career. I mean, I think that because this project pulls from so many different areas and so many different disciplines, and that there's a lot of opportunity for work like this to continue and to grow. There's a man who's been involved with the garden since the first summer, and he was talking the other day. I thought that he said that he was planning to move, and so I had asked him if he was planning to move, and that wasn't surprising to me because I expect that people are going to want to move out of the area, you know, as they're more settled and as they have greater income. So I thought that he was planning to move further away, and he said, no, I want to move closer to the garden. I would, you know, like the whole area around the garden to be Nepali houses so that we could take care of it and that, you know, this could be our spot.